think about this for a second. AI potentially saving, what, 11,000 nursing hours at Essentia Health?
That's huge.
Or cutting police report writing time by like 82% at Axon. It's pretty staggering.
Yeah, these aren't just, theories anymore. They're actual results.
Exactly. Which brings us right to our deep dive today. Is artificial intelligence actually going to redefine, well, the very nature of work itself?
It's the big question, isn't it? Affects everyone, whether you're running a company or just trying to figure out what's next.
Mm-hmm.
So we've pulled together quite a bit articles, some research papers, all honing in on this core idea of AI's impact on what work is.
Right. And our goal here isn't just to talk about, robots taking jobs again.
Been there, done that.
We want to go deeper.
Yeah.
What are the really crucial insights about how AI is changing our basic understanding of work? Its value, its meaning in our lives.
Yeah, that's the fascinating angle. How does our whole relationship with working potentially shift?
Okay, so where do we start? Maybe with what's happening right now.
Good idea.
Yeah.
I think the first thing to grasp is this sort of dual role AI is playing.
Dual role.
Yeah, you've got the automation piece, like those stats you mentioned, clearly happening.
Right. Taking over tasks.
But then there's the augmentation side, helping humans do more or do things better. Microsoft's efficiency gains are a good example.
Okay.
And interestingly, a Workday survey found most business leaders, something like 83%, actually believe AI is mostly going to enhance human capabilities.
So it's not just replacement, it's also about making us better, more efficient.
Potentially, yeah. But it's not simple. This dual thing creates complexities.
How so?
Well, the impact isn't even, right? Some sectors get hit harder or faster.
Yeah.
And there's this growing worry about a skills gap widening.
The skills needed are changing fast.
Exactly. And you've got organizations like the OECD talking about an impending AI revolution. It feels like a real inflection point.
A revolution. Okay, so let's look at where this is playing out already. Which sectors are leading the way?
We'll take go-to-market, GTM, for instance, sales and marketing.
Right.
Podcasts like Future-Proofed are really digging into how AI is optimizing things. Think parallel dialers, super fast account research, even writing personalized emails.
Tools like copy.ai, right? Speeding up content.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It shifts marketing from, broad strokes to these really hyper-personalized interactions. It's blurring lines, maybe between sales and deep customer insight.
It's like giving sales teams superpowers almost, a data-driven assistant.
Sort of, yeah. Then look at IT operations. AI as a site reliability engineer, an SRE.
An AI fixing IT problem.
Yeah, like Newbird.ai's Hawkeye, which the AI show covered. It spots, helps fix issues really quickly. That's a massive efficiency boost.
Okay, I can see that. But what about areas we think of as more human, like creativity?
Right, yeah, the creative industries.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting and maybe contentious area.
Also,
Generative AI is definitely helping create content, visuals, even strategy ideas. It's an assistant.
There's always a but.
But it raises that big question about jobs. Writers, designers, image creators. Are those roles shrinking? Some studies are showing fewer job postings there.
So it's that push-pull again. More creative power, but maybe fewer creative jobs.
It seems like it. And you see similar things in, say, healthcare.
Right, diagnostics. I heard about Google Health detecting breast cancer more accurately.
Exactly. That was on the AI show, too.
Yeah.
And AI is helping personalize treatment plans.
So the doctor's role changes. Maybe more focus on the patient, the complex stuff, while AI handles initial reads.
That seems to be the direction. It's a fundamental shift in that relationship.
In other areas, legal, customer support.
Yep. Legal uses it for document review. Research, again, the AI show highlighted this. And customer support. AI chatbots are boosting productivity, especially for simpler questions, or helping new staff get up to speed faster.
It feels like these aren't just little experiments anymore, these early adopters. They're showing the way for the rest of the economy, aren't they?
I think that's right. They're like leading indicators.
So while some jobs change or disappear, you're also saying new ones are popping up.
Definitely. Think about AI ethicists, machine learning engineers, AI trainers.
Yeah.
These jobs barely existed 10 years ago.
Right.
The World Economic Forum actually projects a net gain, maybe 11 million new roles versus 9 million displaced. But the kind of work is what's really shifting.
Which brings up that point about productivity, doesn't it? We see AI making code writing faster, for instance. 8 hours down to 2.
Yeah, the efficiency angle.
But is there a danger we only see that? That failure of imagination idea you mentioned from Otter and Horvitz?
That's such a critical point. If we only think faster, we miss the bigger picture,
Which is?
which is that AI might let us do completely new things, create value in ways we haven't even thought of yet.
Ah, okay. Not just accelerating the old, but enabling the new.
Exactly. Focusing only on speed risks, missing that transformation, that shift towards valuing maybe innovation or strategic insight, much more.
Okay, so AI changes what we do, but it seems like it's also changing the structure of doing it, like the job itself.
Yeah, this idea of unbundling traditional jobs into tasks.
Unbundling.
Think about it. McKinsey projects, what, 30% of tasks automated, 60% altered by 2030?
Wow.
So instead of hiring one marketing manager, a company might use AI for content, a freelancer for SEO, maybe a data analyst for tracking.
Mm-hmm.
The role gets broken down.
Into specific tasks or contributions.
Exactly. And that leads to this other interesting idea, maybe moving from fixed jobs to more flexible contribution-based work.
Contribution-based.
Yeah. A paper by Memra explores this. You offer specific skills for specific projects. Maybe your pay is even tied to the strategic value you bring, especially if AI handles the routine stuff.
So much more transactional, less about a permanent job title.
It could be heading that way, more project-based. And think about these advanced AI agents, smart software handling scheduling, reporting.
Right, automating management tasks.
That could lead to leaner, flatter organizations too, fewer layers of middle management perhaps.
Which fundamentally changes the whole employer-employee deal, doesn't it?
Absolutely. If it's more project work, what happens to things like health insurance, retirement plans, all those things tied to traditional jobs?
Big questions. And this must be turbocharging the gig economy too, right? AI matching talent to tasks super efficiently.
Oh, definitely. The Paley Center had a good discussion on that. AI makes finding and allocating freelance work much smoother.
And helps the freelancers themselves.
Yeah, tools for brainstorming, research, even admin stuff.
Yeah.
So they can focus on their actual skill.
But this changes how people see their careers, surely. Less of a single path, more. A portfolio of skills.
Exactly. Your identity shifts.
Right.
But it also brings up job security worries, and that problem with entry-level roles may be disappearing.
Yeah, the talent pipeline problem. If those first steps vanish, how do people get started? Knowledge at Wharton touched on distinguishing your core identity versus just the tasks you do.
It really forces us to ask, what are the value of human contribution when AI does so much?
And it seems the answer is increasingly the non-replicable stuff. Strategic thinking, novel ideas.
That seems likely, which could create a kind of new meritocracy, but also risks widening inequality if not everyone can develop those skills.
So if the first rung of the ladder is gone, we desperately need alternatives. Apprenticeships? AI-assisted training, maybe?
It feels like a systemic change is needed, yes. We need new pathways.
Okay, this feels huge. Maybe looking back helps. Have we seen anything like this before?
Well, yes and no. We've had big technological shifts. The Industrial Revolution, factories, machines.
Right. Massive upheaval. Luddites smashing looms.
And then the IT revolution, computers, the internet, automating analysis, clerical work.
And both times, jobs changed, but new ones were created too, right? Bank tellers didn't disappear, their jobs just evolved. Software developers emerged.
Exactly. The pattern usually is technology automates tasks, not necessarily whole jobs. Occupations adapt. The elevator operator is one of the few examples of a job just vanishing.
Okay, but you said yes and no. How is this AI wave different?
Well, a few key ways. First, it's automating cognitive tasks, not just physical or routine clerical work. Things like language, creativity, judgment. That hits knowledge workers, creatives, much harder.
Right. It's coming for white-collar jobs more directly.
Second, the sheer speed and scale seem much faster this time. Society might struggle to adapt quickly enough.
It feels compressed.
And third, modern AI, these agents, can generalize and learn autonomously in ways previous tech couldn't. That's a step change.
And there's that deeper worry, isn't there, about impacting human agency, our decision-making, our economic dignity even. It's more than just job tasks.
It feels qualitatively different, which means the new jobs might also be qualitatively different, requiring higher-order skills, critical thinking, ethical reasoning, empathy, real creativity.
And that compressed timeline means we need to respond much faster, more proactively.
We do. And there's another wrinkle. What if AI gets really good at social and emotional learning tasks? Things we currently think are uniquely human.
Wow, that would really shake things up. Redefine the value of human connection itself.
Potentially. It's why understanding these historical parallels, but also the unique aspects of AI, is so important.
You put together a comparison table, which is really helpful. It lays out the industrial, IT, and AI revolutions side by side.
Yeah. Just to highlight the differences, focus of automation shifts from physical to rules-based, now to cognitive creative.
And the affected jobs change from manual labor to clerical, now to knowledge workers. And the required skills get more complex each time.
Right. And the societal responses evolve, too. From labor laws and mass education to digital literacy, now to things like UBI debates, lifelong learning, AI governance.
It really puts the current moment in perspective. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. How do we think about this philosophically? Does that help?
I think it can. Hannah Arendt's ideas about the act of life offer an interesting lens.
Labor, work, and action, right?
Exactly. So labor for Arendt was about biological necessity, repetitive tasks. AI can clearly automate a lot of that.
Freeing us up.
Potentially. But Arendt also warned about worldlessness, losing touch with the shared reality grounded in meeting those basic needs. If AI does it all, what's our connection?
Interesting point. And work. Creating durable things.
AI can augment that design, manufacturing, even art. But could it diminish the human craftsmanship, that pride in creation? Are worried about instrumental rationality taking over everything, just a means to an end?
Losing the satisfaction of the process itself.
Perhaps. And then action for Arendt, the highest form, happening in the public sphere, through speech, revealing who we are.
How does AI impact that? That feels tricky.
Very. If AI mediates our discussions, influences political debate, maybe even manipulates discourse, does it erode that authentic human interaction that defines the public sphere?
Scary thought. So Arendt might critique using AI only for productivity.
I think so. She was critical of society elevating labor above work and action.
Yeah.
If AI just makes us more productive consumers, it might reinforce that trend.
So the challenge is using AI to enhance meaningful work and preserve space for genuine action.
That seems to be the implication, yes.
Okay, what about other viewpoints? Marxist perspectives, for example. How do they see AI?
Well, from a Marxist standpoint, technology displacing workers isn't new or accidental. It's seen as inherent to capitalism's drive for profit.
AI is just the latest tool for automation then, potentially disempowering workers, driving down wages.
That's the core argument. And the idea of the reserve army of labor suggests that even with AI, capitalism will find new ways to employ people, possibly in more precarious roles, to support the system.
So that dream of fully automated luxury communism, unlikely under current structures.
From this perspective, yes, because the benefits of automation tend to flow to capital owners, not necessarily get redistributed widely. Marxists would argue the system still relies on extracting value from wage labor somehow.
So AI might actually intensify capitalism's contradictions. More precarity, more alienation for many.
That's the concern. It's less about if there will be jobs and more about the quality and power dynamics of those jobs.
This connects to something really fundamental. The meaning and purpose we get from work. People seem to want more than just a paycheck these days.
Absolutely. There's a growing expectation for work to be fulfilling, to offer a sense of contribution.
So how does AI play into that? Could it help by automating the tedious stuff?
That's the potential positive spin, right? Freeing us up for more intrinsically rewarding tasks.
But the flip side?
The flip side is it could devalue the very skills and tasks that used to give us that sense of accomplishment, leading to purposelessness or alienation.
So the narrative matters, how we frame AI as an augmenter, not just a replacement.
That narrative of empowerment seems crucial. And the underlying philosophy embedded in the AI itself, what it values, what counts as knowledge, will shape that narrative too.
It feels like a potential collision course. Our desire for meaningful work versus AI automating the tasks that provided meaning.
Which means we have to be really intentional about redesigning work, creating human-AI collaborations that actually cultivate intrinsic values, not just efficiency.
Okay, so if AI handles more routine and even cognitive tasks, what's left for humans? What becomes most valuable?
It really seems to be those uniquely human skills. Cognitive ones like critical thinking, creativity, socio-emotional ones like empathy, collaboration, and adaptability, continuous learning.
Employers are already looking for that mix, aren't they? Technical skills plus these human skills.
Increasingly, yes.
Yeah.
Which implies a pretty radical overhaul needed in education and training.
How so?
We need to go beyond just teaching the tech. We have to actively cultivate these holistic skills, integrate soft skills right into the core curriculum, make them central, not an afterthought.
And the workplace itself changes. Human-AI collaboration becomes the norm.
That looks like the new paradigm. Synergy, not replacement. Being good at collaborating with AI becomes a key skill itself.
I like that AI intern idea, humans providing the oversight, the direction, especially near term.
Right. But that requires new ways of organizing teams, new leadership styles for managing these hybrid human-AI groups.
And new ways to measure performance. How do you assess the combined output?
Exactly. It changes management fundamentally.
But we can't ignore the psychological side. This AI anxiety, fear of being replaced, feeling inadequate, that's real, isn't it?
Very real. And likely contributing to stress and burnout.
It's a paradox, though. AI might reduce cognitive load on some tasks, which could be good.
Right, potentially increasing engagement. But if it replaces the core, meaningful parts of your job, it could increase alienation instead.
So organizations have a huge responsibility here. Transparency, communication.
Yes, involving employees, offering serious retraining, recognizing the human contribution, all crucial for mitigating that anxiety.
And when you look at those projected new roles, AI trainers, human AI interaction designers, ethics officers.
You see it clearly, don't you? They all rely heavily on those human skills, judgment, communication, ethical reasoning, to guide and manage the AI. It's symbiotic.
Okay, navigating this needs more than just individual or company action. What about the bigger picture? Ethics, policy.
Huge ethical challenges loom. AI bias is a big one.
How does that happen? Biased training data.
Often, yes, reflecting societal biases around gender, race, age. And that can creep into HR systems, hiring, promotions. The Textio ChatGPT example highlighted potential issues there.
And privacy, with AI potentially monitoring work.
Major concern. How is data used? We need clear policies, consent, anonymization where appropriate.
And accountability. If an AI makes a mistake, discriminatory hiring, a wrong diagnosis, who's responsible?
That's the thorny question. It highlights the need for strong governance, human oversight, knowing why an AI decided something.
So we need, what? Multi-stakeholder approaches, transparency, diverse teams building the AI, regulation.
All of the above.
Right.
The OECD is calling for urgent policy action. Human oversight, due diligence, these need to be baked in.
This leads into that debate about universal basic income, UBI. Is that the answer to potential disruption?
It's definitely part of the conversation. Proponents like Musk and Altman see it as a way to cushion the blow, maybe redistribute some wealth.
But there are criticisms too, right? That it's just a way to make AI acceptable while keeping power structures intact. A sort of palliative.
Yeah, some argue it doesn't address the root causes of inequality. And ArcSys paper suggested broader social safety nets might be better. And most UBI pilots haven't been truly universal anyway.
So it boils down to a fundamental tension. Is AI used for universal benefit, or does it just concentrate wealth further?
That choice will shape everything. UBI alone, without addressing wealth concentration, might just make work a privilege for the few.
So beyond UBI, what else is needed? Education, reskilling.
Absolutely critical. Education needs to be more agile, interdisciplinary, blend AI literacy with critical thinking, creativity, emotional intelligence, hands-on AI experience, ethics discussions.
And reskilling isn't a one-off. Lifelong learning becomes the norm.
Has to be. Companies, governments need to invest heavily, focusing on both tech skills and those human-centric ones we talked about.
And social safety nets need updating. For gig workers, job transitions.
Modernizing unemployment insurance, supporting people through transitions, maybe even addressing domestic outsourcing impacts. It's all part of the package.
What about policy specifics? Transparency in AI training data? Tools for bias auditing?
Those seem essential. Maybe royalties for creators whose work trains AI? Watermarking AI content?
Promoting worker interests, encouraging open AI ecosystems for more scrutiny.
All potentially valuable pieces for building a more equitable and trustworthy AI future.
Okay, looking way ahead now, people paint these wildly different pictures of the future. What are the possible scenarios?
Well, you had this sort of dystopian visions. Widespread joblessness, AI surpasses humans, wealth gets hyper-concentrated.
The post-work economy, but maybe not in a good way. Loss of agency, maybe even manipulation.
Yeah, some scenarios get pretty dark, loss of creativity, existential risks, humans becoming like pets in a zoo, or worse.
Okay, that's bleak. What's the optimistic version?
The utopian view is AI augmenting us, freeing us from drudgery. More time for creativity, learning, leisure. Maybe a 3-day work week.
AI solving big problems like climate change or disease, enhanced well-being, the post-scarcity economy.
That's the dream. Abundance, human flourishing.
But the reality is likely messier, somewhere in between.
Almost certainly. It won't be uniform. It'll vary hugely by region, industry, who you are. We'll need tailored approaches, not one size fits all.
And crucially, it's not inevitable, right? It's not just technology happening to us.
Absolutely not. This counters that idea of technological determinism. Our choices, Policy, ethics, deployment decisions are what will shape the outcome. The challenges are as much political and ethical as they are technological.
And those choices aren't just top-down. They happen everywhere, in schools, businesses, our own interactions.
Exactly. An informed, ethically aware public is maybe the most critical factor in navigating this well.
And you mentioned those utopian scenarios often hinge on solving wealth distribution, right? Abundance doesn't mean much if it's all locked up.
Precisely. Achieving the optimistic futures requires figuring out effective wealth redistribution and maybe redefining ownership and value sharing in this new landscape.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, the core message seems to be AI isn't just tweaking work, it's fundamentally redefining it.
Across multiple dimensions, yeah. Automation, job structures, values, skills, psychology, meaning.
Yeah.
It's hitting everything.
And the key takeaway isn't just adaptation, it's active shaping. We have agency here.
We absolutely do. It's about engaging with the process, making conscious choices.
And maybe thinking about a human-centric definition of work means looking beyond just economics.
Perhaps valuing things like community, care, art, learning arts action things with intrinsic merit, not just market value.
Because ultimately, redefining work means redefining ourselves, our purpose, in a world where machines do many traditional tasks.
It's deeply intertwined. It raises anxieties, yes, but also opens up incredible opportunities to rethink what matters.
So maybe the final thought for everyone listening is this. What parts of work do you think are fundamentally human? What needs protecting, prioritizing as AI evolves?
And what kind of future of work do you actually want to see, and how can you be part of creating it?
It's a conversation we all need to be part of. It's just beginning, really, and everyone's perspective is vital.